Hello, everyone. It's Dean the Autist. Welcome back to Chaos Head. And this is going to be the last recording I'm going to do today because it is 8:20 p.m. So I've recorded five. This is going to be my fifth episode I'm recording today because I'm actually very interested in what's going on in this game. you know. All right, let's see. I took a few deep breaths and looked around the courtyard. The courtyard has been between the pool and the school building, and was really more of a corridor than a yard. There were flower beds placed at regular intervals where purple flowers bloomed. Were those What were those flowers called? I didn't know. I saw Yua standing in front of one of the flower beds, staring down at it while she waited. She really she was really here. She was really waiting for me. Not for anybody else, just for me. Yua isn't going to betray me. Maybe I could believe in her after all. Maybe she could save me. Oh! Yua looked up and noticed me, and then her eyes went wide in surprise. I stood there, looking away in embarrassment. I didn't know if it was okay to walk up to her or not. Why was she surprised? Did I mess up by coming? As I tried to figure out what to do, she ran up to me. You surprised me.
え、
Huh?
西条くんが本当に来てくれるなんて、どうせ来てもらえないって諦めかけてたんです。
You really came. I'd almost given up because I thought you weren't coming.
でも、待っててよかった。
I'm so glad I waited. I was surprised. She might have been she might have the same kind of mentality I did, the kind that was pessimistic about everything. But there was one big difference between Yua and me. I was pessimistic and didn't do anything. Yua was pessimistic but took action. That was something I really respected about her. I wanted to be that way too, I thought.
一緒に帰ってくれますか？
Will you walk home with me? I nodded in response to her question. She and I headed for the school gate together. I felt kind of embarrassed. As we walked home, it felt like the other students were shooting me jealous glances. The more I started to notice people were staring, the more I started to freeze up. I should have known there was no way I could walk home with a girl. Who the fuck is this guy? hmm? Oh, it was a teacher. Okay, I passed by a teacher I didn't recognize. Actually, the only reason I thought they were a teacher was that they were wearing a suit. But did we have any teachers that young? I rarely came to school, so of course, I didn't know who our teachers were or what they looked like. Sometimes I even forgot my homeroom teacher's face. For me, in my high school, Dean the Autist, I actually did have a world history teacher that just got his teaching degree. So he started teaching world history when I became a freshman. He was a pretty cool guy. I'm not gonna say his name, but he's pretty cool. He's pretty chill. He wasn't that much older than us, so it's like okay. So yeah, the teacher in the suit looked around, seemingly lost, before heading toward the school building.
どうしました？
Is something wrong?
あ、
Oh, I quickly shook my head and started walking alongside her again. The base was 10 minutes away from school, which was a bit further than the train station at Shenzhen. Yua Yua used to go home. So I guess I was walking her home instead of the other way around. Out of sheer habit, I walked us through Shoto Park. Cutting through it diagonally saved a minute or so off the commute.
西条くんって朝よくこの公園でパンを食べてませんか？
You sometimes eat breakfast here in the morning, don't you?
あ、うん。
Oh, yeah. How did she know? Well, I mean, maybe she was stalking you for a while and you just noticed.
やっぱりよく見かけたんです。でも いる時といない時があって。
I thought so. I saw you here a lot, but some days you were here, and some days you weren't.
今日、ようやくその謎が解けました。学校にたまにしか来ないからだったんですね。
And today I finally figured out the reason. It's because you only come to school a few days a week, right?
あ、別にそれがダメって言ってるわけじゃなくてですね。素朴な疑問だったので。
Oh, I'm not saying that's bad or anything. I'm just saying I was curious.
うん。
Yeah. Yua suddenly stopped and looked over at the bench where I always ate breakfast. Right now it was empty.
なんだか、ここに座っているあなたの背中は、すごく、辛そうに見えて。
For some reason, whenever I saw you sitting there, you looked so sad. She suddenly leaned forward, just a little, and ran her fingers across the back of the bench.
何度も見かけるうちに、だんだん気になってきて。
The more I saw you, the more I began to wonder about you. The bench was right in front of the fence surrounding the lake. Since I always sat facing the lake, I didn't need to worry about anyone gazing at me. There was also a small watermill right next to it, which was another reason I liked it. It served to partially hide
こ
me.
こ最近は、姿を見かけなかった日は、心配でご飯も喉を通らなかったりしてたんです。
Lately, on the days I didn't see you, I was so worried I couldn't eat. Really? I hadn't noticed her watching me at all.
バカみたいですよね。一度も話したこともない人の心配してるなんて。
It's silly, isn't it? Worrying so much about a person I never even talked to.
でも、話しかける勇気もなかったので。
But I didn't have the courage to talk to you. So that was why she was acting like a stalker at first. She wasn't a stalker. She was just really worried about me. Maybe.
ちょっと、座ってみてもいいですか？
Can I sit down?
西条くんがどんな景色を見ていたのか、私も、知りたいから。
I want to know what it is you were always looking at. I didn't really have a reason to say no. I nodded, still looking out at the lake. She put her bag on the bench and then quietly sat down. Then she was upright, with good posture, looking at the lake. It was so quiet, so peaceful, and she was right there with me. The soft wind made ripples on the water and gently rustled through her hair. Was this what it was like to have a normal life? It was just a normal day, a normal situation. So why did it feel like I was about to cry?
ここで朝食をとるのって気持ちよさそうですよね。
This feels like a nice place to have breakfast. I watched her from the side as she quietly spoke. If we were in an H game, this would totally be when I asked her to be my girlfriend. She'd say yes, we'd kiss, and that would be the good ending. Depending on the route, maybe we'd even engage in some naughty outdoor fun.
私も今度やってみようかな。
Maybe I'll try it too sometime. She tilted her head to look up at me. Unable to speak, I turned my gaze toward her bag. Oh, she was right next to us. Yeah, I should have thought of that. She was also there at the cafe. Duh. There's me mixing context clues. Anyways, as I stared at the 3 Garo Froggy straps on it, I cursed myself for being too lame to talk to a girl. Again, I'm just going to go straight forward. If there is other routes or things like that happens, I will be doing that later. Wait a second. Did I just see something? What was I looking at? Garo Froggy, a character popular with high school girls. I'd seen it somewhere before. Where? Your sister? I didn't understand. I had the sense of deja vu, but I couldn't remember. Was my memory always this bad? I guess I was pretty good at memorization. I always got a good grade on my tests. I was pretty smart. So why couldn't I remember something so important? At least it felt important. Okay, he said he might have memory loss issues. Is maybe I'm not paying that much attention, but I think this is the first time it's been brought up, right? I mean, he would know that like he got Garo Froggy, like he would know what that is from his sister, right? Anyways, I feel like I'm second guessing myself. What is going on? Where had I seen them? I'm sure if I looked at them closer, maybe I could remember. I wasn't sure what would happen if I did remember, but to escape from the awful feeling of not knowing, I almost unconsciously reached out my hand towards the three straps. No! Yua suddenly knocked my hand away. Huh? Huh? Oh. Something very odd is happening right now. Huh? As I stared in shock, she looked away from me and awkwardly tried to stand up from the bench. Her hand brushed against her bag, the bag with the three Garo Froggy straps, and as if I was watching in slow motion, the bag fell slowly from the bench and landed on the ground. Oh, it hadn't been zipped up, so her notebooks and textbooks went spilling everywhere.
私った
Uh,
ら何をやってるんでしょう。
oh dear, what am I doing? What does she have in that bag? Although then again, it's rude to go through a lady's things, don't you know? My granny drilled that into my head. Like, you never go through a lady's purse. Murmur, murmur, murmur. Anyone relate to that? Just me? Okay. I would have thought the whole scene was very moe, but now all I could do was stare in shock because, by chance, one of the notebooks that fell onto the ground had fallen open, and the small memos and newspaper clippings in it had scattered everywhere. It must have been some kind of scrapbook, because all the clippings and memos had to do with one subject. I could see it clearly. New Gen. Why? My voice was hoarse. She was hurriedly trying to pick up the clippings and notes and stuff and stuff them back into her bag. Okay, you know what? Maybe I was a bit too excited for Takumi trying to make friends. I don't know. We'll see what happens. She stood up, holding it tightly to her chest. Her smile was gone, replaced with an awkward expression.
それは
What is that? She didn't answer me. Why won't you answer me? Come on, say something. If you don't answer, I'll think you're hiding something. And just when I was about to believe you, I just thought you were going to be on my side. Just when I was starting to believe that.
誰も信じちゃダメ。誰の言葉にも耳を傾けちゃダメ。
And great, he's getting lured back by the succubus. Don't believe anybody. Don't listen to anything anyone says. Ever. Just listen to me. What on earth? Sierra was right all along. All 3D girls were garbage. Even Yua didn't like me. She was trying to get close to me for some reason of her own. Maybe she was going to turn me over to the police. Maybe she was going to threaten me. This was awful. Just awful. Just when I was so close forgetting all about that murder, the cops had never come to say anything. I'd convinced myself that I'd never have to deal with it again. I didn't want to get involved. What was Yua after? I turned around so I could run. But Yua grabbed my wrist from
逃
behind.
げるの？
You're running? Her voice made me shudder. It was so cold I thought I might freeze. She didn't seem anything like the girl I'd been talking to a moment ago. And... She was gripping my wrist with incredible strength. She was holding it so tightly that it was physically painful. I thought for a moment that she might crush my bones. It hurt so bad. I tried to shake her off, but she wouldn't let go. Instead, she pulled me closer, and I almost fell backwards.
逃げるの
You're running? She whispered in an emotionless voice, right behind me and right into my ear. I shivered and slowly turned around. Let me raise the volume a bit. There you go. Wah. All right. Well, I'm gonna maybe a bit lower. There you go. Okay. Hopefully you can hear that better. Look at her face. She's gonna kill me. The color in her eyes was insane.
逃がさないで
I won't let you get away, you know.
騙してたことは謝
I
るけどお互い様だし
apologize for tricking you, but you weren't honest with me
あ
either.
なただって隠してたことあるよね
You were hiding something too, weren't you? Hiding something? There was only one thing I could think of. Somehow, for some reason, she knew that I'd witnessed the crucified corpse and the killer. That's why she approached me. She really was a clever one. Everything she'd ever said to me was a lie. That she'd gotten curious about me when she saw me for the first time. That she liked Bloodtoon. That she wanted to go buy the Sierra post-awakening version figure on the day it came out with me. When she'd smiled at something I'd said. When she said she wanted to get to know me better. When she said she was worried that I didn't come to school. Even when she said I'd impressed her by coming to school. It was all lies. I clenched my fists and raged in anger. You know, I should have known that it was way too early for any, it was way too early for any, like, actual romance options, and, this game is actually a horror game. What do you know? Maybe a bit lower on the sound, actually. I'm trying to balance this out. Hopefully it's not too much. Damn it! Why was I ever willing to believe her?
本当はもっと時間をかけて調べたかったんだけどバレちゃったからしょうがないよね
I've wanted to spend more time learning about you, but now you've found me out, there's no sense in keeping up the facade.
あなたに聞いてもらいたい話があ
There's
る
a story I want you to hear.
聞いてくれるよね
You'll listen, right?
聞かないなんて言わないよね
You won't tell me you're not going to listen,
あ
right?
なたは聞くべきよ
You should listen.
聞いて
I want you to listen.
聞くでしょ
You'll listen, won't you?
聞かないなら
If you won't listen... If I won't listen, then what? She was like a totally different person now. That peaceful, easygoing manner she'd had was completely gone. Now she looked cold and unapproachable, with a terrible intensity about her. Her words were cold as ice, as cold as death itself. The signs of weakness and helplessness she normally showed were nowhere to be found. I didn't want to hear those words. I tried to close my ears, but I couldn't. She still had my wrist in her grasp. She wasn't gripping it as tightly as before, but she still wouldn't let go. I couldn't move my hand. With her free hand, she reached into her bag and took out something metallic and showed it to me. Oh great, another steak. I gasped in shock. My heart felt like it was going to leap out of my chest. My mind began to race. I had my free hand over my ear, but I let it drop. I heard her voice, sounding slightly disappointed.
この十字架に見覚えあるよね
You recognize this cross, right? Of course I did. I knew exactly what it was. It looked like a cross, but its design was actually a stake. Not many stakes had such an elaborate design. At least, I'd only seen some once before. That night, scattered on the road. That night, pounded by the demon woman into the wall. That night, pinning the corpse to the wall.
やっぱり知ってるのね
So, do you recognize it?
知ってるんでしょ
You recognize it, don't you?
知ってるに決まってる
Of course you recognize it.
知らないなんて言わせない
I won't let you say you don't recognize it.
知ってなくちゃおかしい
You have to recognize it.
知ってるよね。
You recognize it, right?
知ってる。
You recognize it, right? I shook my head desperately. An awful sweat was forming on my brow. All I could do was try to wipe it off as I shook my head no.
これ。あなたの部屋にあったのよ。
This was in your room. She found it. Oh no. Oh no. This was in your room.
あなたの部屋、
In your room.
ベッドの下、
Under the bed.
床に落ちてた。
On the floor.
落ちてたの。
Lying there.
落としたよね。
You dropped it there, didn't you?
それとも捨てた。
Or did you throw it away?
とにかく落ちてた。
Either way, it was there.
落ちてたの。
Lying there. When did she search my room? The day we first met? When I hurt my leg and she walked me home? When she was staring with shining eyes at a cute face at the Sierra figure?
この杭、外国製のすごく珍しい杭なのよ。
This steak isn't made in Japan. It's extremely
そ
rare.
れと、ニュージェネ第3の事件で使われた杭と同じ。
And it's just like the steaks used in the third New Gen killing. Are we gonna get framed?
同じなの。
Is Takumi gonna get framed? Gee, it's the same.
同じよね。
It's the same, right?
同じなのは間違いない。
I'm sure it's the same.
同じよ。
It's the exact same.
遺体を壁に貼り
The
付け
same as the stakes that nailed the body to the wall.
同じ。
The same. I was sure of it. The girl thought I was behind the New Gen killings. She thought I was the murderer. Was she trying to become some kind of detective? Yua Kusunoki, teen detective? You know what I thought? Die, bitch. I meant it too. They weren't just empty words. I mean, this stuff might have worked in an anime or in a video game, but I knew that her theory had a fatal flaw. I'd seen the killer. I'd seen her with my own eyes, that demon. The girl whose name I didn't know. She wore a Suime uniform. She was close. So what? She looked down and sighed softly. Her grip relaxed, and at last I was freed.
それ以上でもそれ以下でもないです。ただ、あなたが知ってるかどうかを確かめたかっただけ。本当はまだ言うつもりじゃなかったですし。
Nothing more and nothing less. I just wanted to see if you knew or not. I wasn't actually planning to ask you yet, anyway. What did she mean by yet?
それじゃあ、もう一つ確認させてください。
Let me ask you one more thing.
あなたには予知能力がありますか？
Can you see the future? Okay, this is going to go in some like clairvoyance shit. I want to see. Okay, seeing the future. The ability to see the future before it happens. This is distinct from the ability to predict the future, where one lays out what they think will happen based off the information they have at hand. There is no scientific proof that it is possible to see the future. Different people manifest this ability in different ways. Some see the future in the form of flashbacks, and others see it in prophetic dreams. Psychics, fortune tellers, and ancient prophets are all said to possess this ability. Many con artists, however, claim to have it for the purposes of fraud. Okay.
Huh?
What? My jaw dropped. See the future? What the hell was she talking about? What did that have to do with the murder? I stood there, confused, as Yua reached into her bag and pulled out several full-color
予
printouts.
知能力があるって思わなきゃ納得できないような画像データをあなたが持っていたから。
If you can't see the future, then I don't know how to explain you having these images. The Goro photos that Shogun sent me. Why did Yuo have them? Yuo have them. These are...
あなたはどうして
Why did you have...
第3の事件の再現画像を持っているんですか？
Why did you have a recreation of the third New Gen killing?
しかもこの画像が流出したのは事件の前日です。
And these were from the day before the murder, too.
あなたの使った PC にキャッシュが残ってました。
They were in your computer's cache.
違う。
No! I got those photos from some guy named Shogun that I never even met before that day. I didn't make them. They could still be in my download history. I know, I could show that to Yua. Wait, where did she get these? How did she know they were still in my computer's cache? When she came to my room, she wasn't there long enough to search my computer.
まさか
Wait,
君が将軍か。
are you Shogun? Was she trying to set me up? Was Yua behind this whole thing? Was she one of the new gen killers trying to use me as a scapegoat to distract the police from the truth?
助けて。
Please don't hurt me. This wasn't fair. Why me? Because I'm a creepy loser? Because I don't have any friends? Yua just shook her head silently.
その画像はアットカフェルーム37の PC から拾ったんです。
Okay, how? I found these pictures on the PC in room 37 at Cafe.
あなたの PC もできれば調べたかったんですけど、その機会はさすがにありませんでした。
I wanted to search your computer too, but I didn't have time. How did those images enter the cache in the 37 computer? The room next to room 37, the one I always use at Cafe, she really did think she was some kind of detective. She looked just the slightest bit sorry as she stared at me. Just for a single second, she looked like the old Yua. She kept that expression on her face as she rustled through her bag again. This time, she took out a sheet of printed text on it and offered it to me. I had an awful premonition. The logical part of my mind told me I shouldn't look. But I had to. If I didn't find some way to resist, they'd pin it on me.
それが
That
あなたのすべてです。
is everything you are. Everything I was? Did she steal all my private information? Was she a hacker? My heart pounded as I looked at the printout. But instead of my private information, it was just a chat log. Uh-oh. It was a log of Nightheart and Shogun. So she does
変ですよね。
So she does know about Shogun. Okay. I was like, what the fuck are you on about? There's something strange about that log, right? Huh? What's strange? It's just a normal chat log. I remember the conversation I had with Shogun.
ナイトハルトと将軍の
Look at how Nightheart and Shogun talk.
発言時間が全然噛み合ってないんです。
The timestamps don't match at all. Okay, what? Okay, this is weird.
Oh.
Are they accounting for like different time zones or whatever? Huh? Huh? What was this? What is going on?
そこにあるナイトハルトは西条君。発言時間は9月28日の午前3時台。
Yeah, these are... I'm not sure how you could, like, explain this. Outside of, like, time travel or something. You're talking on September 28th around 3 a.m.
そして翌日、あなたはアットカフェに行ってます。
And the next day you went to At Cafe.
西条君がアットカフェに行くのは学校帰りと決まってる。
You always go to At Cafe after you leave school.
そして学校に行くのは週に 2.5 回。あなたのクラスメイトから聞いたんですけど、先週あなたが学校に来た日は
And you go to school roughly 2.5 times per week. I asked one of your classmates and they said the days you went to school last week were
月曜日、水曜日、木曜日。
Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
先週の月曜日は9月29日。将軍の発言時間と同じ日です。
The Monday of last week was September 29th, the same day Shogun was in the chat. What? What was she talking about?
ルーム37の PC のチャットログを調べさせてもらいました。
I looked in the chat log for the PC in room 372.
そこから分かったことは、
What I learned was... She paused for just a moment, before looking right at me and delivering a cruel
あな
truth.
た一人の自作自演。
This whole thing was an act you put on. What the... How? What? Don't look at me.
将軍は
Shogun is... Don't look at me.
あなた自身
You. Hold on. I'm gonna, like... When? Hold on. What is going on? Oh my goodness. I don't want to see anything. Huh? I don't want to hear anything. Time isn't constant. Memories can contradict each other. There are errors in your vision. The Earth doesn't spin. This is all just a game. I turned on my computer and took a bite out of a fish sausage. I'm not me. The Sierra Tan wallpaper came up on the monitor. The world where I belong. I booted up ESO without slightest hesitation. Isn't this one? Chapter 1. Chapter 2, click me. Okay. So I finished Chapter 1. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. I'm like, this is legitimately, like, like, I want to keep going. Honestly, just, like, honestly, considering it's been made by the same guys that made Steins Gate, I was wondering, oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. But like, this is like taking a turn I didn't even think of. Anyways, beep, beep. Anybody going on the field trip, get on. Takumi Nishijo lay on the tatami mat, a colored pencil in his hand. This time it was yellow. Just a few minutes ago, it had been red. He was happily scribbling with his pencil across the whole of his open sketchbook. Takumi liked to draw. Even during class, he was always scribbling something in the corner of his notebook. The TV was turned on, showing the morning news. For a fourth grader like him, though, the news was boring. He didn't look at it at all. Beep, beep, you can't bring more than 300 yen for snacks. He was drawing a yellow bus and pretending he was the bus driver. The bus is full, so off we go. Whoosh. He envisioned the scene in his head as he put it onto the page. It wasn't uncommon for him to get too excited and let his pencil go off the sketchbook and onto the tatami mat. Whenever that happened, his little sister Nanami would yell, "Hey, don't mess up the mat!" She was a little brat, and he didn't care. He kept drawing anyway. When it came time to draw the passengers on the bus, he suddenly stopped. And then he ripped the sketchbook up. Yesterday, the day before he was supposed to go on the class's fall field trip, he suddenly been told by his parents that he couldn't go. Why not? He'd been looking forward to it for a long time. He'd been excited the whole day. So when his parents told him, he refused to accept it. He cried and said he was going to go no matter what, but it didn't matter. No matter what he said, his parents wouldn't listen. "We're doing this for your sake. It's impossible for you." That's all they would say. So he hid under his covers and got mad. So mad he might tear his blanket apart. He hated his parents from the bottom of his heart. That's how important, how crucial, the field trip was to little fourth grade Takumi. Everybody else got to go, and he didn't. From his perspective, it was totally unfair. In his mind, there were two worlds. A lonely world where he was the only resident, and a fun world where everyone else got to be. He hated his teacher and his classmates for going without him. He hated his parents for telling him he couldn't go. It wasn't long before that hatred boiled over. He bit his lip so hard it drew blood, and began to mutter a curse over and over. I wish nobody got to go. Next morning, the phone started ringing really early. His mom would pick it up and answer it, seemingly shaken by something. She'd set it down a little later, and it would ring again. Takumi couldn't sleep at all. It was past 9 a.m. Nanami was sitting on a cushion reading manga. She said, "I'll stay home from school with you," the day before, and so there she was. His dad had gone into work and was nowhere to be seen. His mom was so busy answering the phone that she hadn't made breakfast. Today he didn't need to go to school. Glumly, he began to draw in his sketchbook. But it did nothing to help assuage his anger, and just when he'd ripped it up in frustration... Huh, that bus? There was a note of worry in Nanami's voice. He thought she was talking about his picture, but her eyes were glued to the TV set. Mom! Suddenly, she called out for their mom, who was still talking on the phone. Takumi looked disinterestedly over at the TV. It was showing a collapsed bridge on the highway. Only a small 50-meter section of the bridge had collapsed. A bus had been traveling right over the bridge at the time and had fallen through the hole. Okay, this is definitely going to be a hint to something. It was the bus Takumi was supposed to have been on. It was one his classmates were all on. So you're saying that either Takumi was forced to not go on it for some reason, or maybe he affected things, like through his wants. Maybe he affected things to make sure that bus was destroyed. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. In a single instant, Takumi was able to envision almost everything that had happened. His classmates were all there. Some were crying, some had faces covered in blood. One was being carried off in a stretcher. A reporter was explaining the accident with a stern expression on his face, but Takumi couldn't understand what he was talking about. Taku, listen to me. His mom was standing in the room's doorway, holding the phone in her hand and looking deathly pale. The field trip's bus got into an accident on the highway. It's on the TV too. And Mr. Saito is... dead. For some reason, Takumi was sure of it. Because everything he was seeing on the TV was just like the scene he'd envisioned last night in his frustration and anger. In his mind, there was only a single thought, a strange certainty that he had the ability to see the future. He remembered a TV program he'd seen years ago about whether psychic powers were real or not. There was a psychic on the show who could see the future, and had put their powers to incredible use during the test the show had given. At the time, it was a huge deal. In the test, 12 items were put into 12 boxes numbered 1 to 12, and they had to guess which one would be put in which. The psychic would be in another room before anything happened, and make their guesses there. Afterward, the show staff would put the items into boxes, and the results would be checked. Astonishingly, the psychic was 90% accurate, amazing the rest of the cast. Takumi had been watching the show, and he'd made his own predictions as well. Every single one was right, of course. He'd never told anybody this. But that's why now. He thought he'd foretold the crash unfolding on the screen. They said over half the class was injured.
なんてこと。
How awful. His mother tried to reach down and pick him up, but he slid past her and crawled to the corner of the room.
でも本当によかったわ。
I'm so glad, though. She whispered in a hollow voice, her gaze wandering around the room.
今日タキちゃんを休ませておいて本当によかった。
So glad I kept you home today. Okay, so... Alright, I'm thinking. We don't know why the parents left Takumi at home. So what I'm thinking is that possibly a future Takumi, right, considering Takumi is somehow Shogun. I'm thinking a future Takumi had told his parents to not put him on the trip or something like that. Or either his mother or his father have some... this is going to be a long shot. And probably not real, but I'm thinking either his mother or father might have some version of his future sight ability. If that's true. Anyways. Because, you know, like, a lot of things are genetic. So it wouldn't surprise me if one of the parents did have that and was like, oh no, we had to pull our son out of there. So, yeah. He felt like he was about to throw up. It was all rotten, he thought. What good was seeing the future? In that moment, he felt his heart turn cold. For a while, he didn't talk to anyone. He became completely silent. He didn't say a single word to a single person. His parents were already overprotective, but this only made it worse. He gradually started to find them ridiculous and began to keep up his silent act deliberately. That was his way of getting back at his parents, he thought. He was so quiet that they took him to a psychiatrist at a general hospital. He was diagnosed with PTSD. Of course, he didn't have PTSD, so he never took the medicine they gave him. He just pretended to take it. His parents never picked up on the act, and even when he saw how worried and miserable they looked, he didn't feel the slightest bit guilty. It all felt like a lie. The whole world was filled with fiction. It was filled with evil. Evil that was out to get me.
いつもあなたが使っているチャットルームへログインして自分で調べてみてください。
Log into the chat room you always use and see for yourself.
私の言っていることが間違っていない。わかるはずです。
You'll see that I'm telling the truth.
それと
And
私が言ったことは全部本心です。これだけは信じて。
everything I said, I meant. If nothing else, I want you to believe that. After her bizarre speech, she added that last sentence and then left. Of course I couldn't believe her. How could I believe her when she lied to me? The everything I was that she'd shown me was something I refused to accept, no matter what. I wanted to believe there was no way I could be Shogun. But from the timestamps on the chat log, it was clear that the conversation didn't make sense.
僕は無遊病なの。
Was I sleepwalking? I'm gonna read this. Also known as somnambulism or noctambulism, sufferers from this disorder will get up from bed while sleeping, especially during non-REM sleep, and engage in activities such as wandering around the house, eating, or bathing. They cannot, however, engage in any but the simplest of conversations. Each case is different, but generally this state lasts around 30 minutes before the person goes back to bed and returns to sleep. The sufferer is completely unconscious at all points and has no memory of their actions. Sleepwalking is most commonly seen in people with other mental issues. and it's believed that stress is the cause. At the time that Shogun had sent these messages, I hadn't been asleep. I'd been at Cafe Shore, but I hadn't been asleep. I couldn't have been sleepwalking. Then why didn't I have any memories of writing these comments as Shogun? Was my body under someone else's control? The very idea was ridiculous. I decided what I needed to escape from all the lies was some good old ESO, my other fictional world. In ESO, everything was a lie. It was just a game after all. But in Basilard, I could be Nightheart, a godlike being. If only the lies and fictions could be like this, I could accept that reality. I wanted to be here forever. What's wrong with that? Or maybe ESO's world was the real one, and this one was the fake. This one was the game. Takumi Nishijo was just a fictional character, and my true identity was Nightheart.
ねえ、ナイトハルト。
Hey, Nightheart. I called out to the paladin on the screen. Am I controlling you, or are you controlling me? Are you the real person and I'm the avatar? What if the world I'm in is just a game? If that was the case, it would explain everything. If somebody was staring at me right now, just like how I was staring at Nightheart. Whose eyes are those? The answer to that question would be the player controlling me. If that was the case, then I wish they'd stop sucking at the game so much. But an avatar doesn't get to complain. It would explain how Shogun and I could be the same person. It was like that with Lecelot. Lecelot and Nightheart couldn't exist in Basilard at the same time. They both had the same player. Me. Maybe in the same way, Takumi Nishijo and Shogun couldn't exist in this world at the same time. Or maybe it was like a bug. Speaking of bugs, maybe these strange women appearing in the murder cases were all bugs too. The images Shogun sent me flashed through my mind, and I winced. I shook my head desperately. I wanted to run away from everything. If there is a player controlling me, then please reset the game. You know what? Sure. Never mind. Just start over from character creation. Alright. The waiting room at the university hospital was filled. You know, I've just finished chapter 1. I'm gonna quick save. There you go. Let's return to title. Yep. Let's look at extra. Let's look at the extras. So. Yeah. So CG completion 8%. Whose eyes are those? 11. Oh well. Okay. Interesting. Okay, well. Yeah, I'll quick load back here. So yeah, chapter 2, click me, yada yada yada. Load this data. Yep. The waiting room at the university hospital was filled to overflowing with old people waiting for their exams. Nothing had changed since I first come here several years ago. It was as if time itself had stopped. Everyone wore a gloomy expression. Between that and the stench of disinfectant, the air was heavy and stale. 5 minutes in this room was enough to make you want to kill yourself. I didn't like hospitals. The lobbies were filled with people, but once you went down a hallway, it felt like you were completely alone. They'd always really scared me. It felt like the hallways were full of the stench of death. It always seemed to me that death was the true face of a hospital. And if you went further down the hallways, you'd find even more terrifying, awful secrets. So to tell the truth, I didn't want to come, but there was something I had to know, and so I had no choice but to sit here waiting for my exam. Even while I was playing ESO, the words Yua had kept spinning through my mind, and I couldn't concentrate at all. I ended up staying awake all night, imagining all kinds of terrible things, and started to get really scared of there being something wrong with me. At last, I decided to go to the hospital, so I could get a doctor to tell me I was completely normal. I wanted to prove that Yua was a crazy one, not me. I was used to coming to the psych ward of this hospital. When the lady at the front desk asked me if it was my first time here, I nodded without thinking about it, but it wasn't my first time at all. Ever since the bus accident, my parents had taken me here on a regular basis. When I got to middle school, my doctor told me I was completely cured and I'd stopped going. It had been about 4.5 years since I'd last come here. The first doctor to look at me was an old man who was supposedly an authority in his field, but he'd only talked to me the first few times before handing me off to one of his students. Of course, his student wasn't that much younger either. If anything, he'd look older than the first one. The doctor, Dr. Takashina, had said something to me that I remembered last night.
病気や怪我だけじゃなくて心にも効く病院なんだよ。
This hospital doesn't treat just illnesses or injuries, it treats the heart. I didn't like the hospital, but he was pretty nice, and he seemed like a pretty good guy. Not that this had stopped me. I'd kept up my act of deceiving the adults. It was Dr. Takashina who had seen through my deception, though. He had given me official diagnosis of completely cured.
あの人に調べてもらえれば。
If I could get him to take a look at me. What would he say if I knew I'd grown up to be a creepy otaku? No, he probably didn't even remember me. I waited another 3 hours before they finally called my name. It was a different exam room than the one I'd been sent in 4 years ago, but I was welcomed by a face I recognized. He was the very image of a trustworthy older man. He looked older than he probably was, but he had a kind expression, and that kindness came across in his mannerisms and way of talking. He hadn't changed at all in the 4 years I'd last seen him. I wondered if he'd even aged at all, not that I was even sure how old he was. The desire to beg him for help grew stronger and stronger within me. He was somebody I could count on. He was somebody who could save me. I was so happy to see him again. Until I heard the first thing he said.
今日はどうしました?
What brings you here today? His voice was soft and gentle, and put you at ease. But there wasn't the sense of friendliness I'd seen when I came here before. It was like he was talking to me for the first time. I couldn't handle it, so I decided to remind him.
西条です。
I'm, Nichijou.
ん?
Hmm?
ああ、これはご丁寧に。
Oh, nice to meet you. Yeah, you can't really fault the doctor. Like, honestly, like, he probably has hundreds of patients, like, a month. You can't really fault him for forgetting someone, especially if you, like, grow up. Nice to meet you.
はじめまして。
My name is Takashina. Let's get started. He bowed to me. I couldn't say anything. Nice to meet you. That's what he had said. He'd forgotten me. It made sense. It had been 4 years after all. But I thought that he of all people would remember me. I've kind of had that hope, whether it was fair or not. When that hope was shattered, it just made me sadder. It felt like it didn't matter. He looked me in the eye as he spoke, but I looked away.
無遊病かどうか調べてほしいと書いてあるが、
You said you wanted to find out if you were sleepwalking?
何かあったのかな?
Did something happen? That's right. That's what I'd said on the form, but it didn't matter now, if he didn't even remember me.
別にいいじゃん。
Who cares?
先生が覚えてようが覚えてなかろうが関係ないっしょ。最初の目的を忘れちゃダメ。
Who cares if the doctor remembers you or not? Don't forget why you came here. Oh, right. I hadn't come here to see Dr. Takashina. I came to prove that I was normal. Seeing him again was just a bonus. It didn't matter if he forgot me. If Saratan hadn't reminded me. I might have broken down right there. Oh.
あの自分でも知らないうちに外に出かけててパソコンで文章打っててそれを全く覚えてないなんてありえますか？
Is it possible that you could say, leave your house, go to a computer, type a message, and then not remember it at all?
おお。
Oh?
知り合いから
Somebody I
阻止
know
されて混乱しちゃって
somebody I know told me that I was doing that and it really confused me.
その知り合いの人が冗談を言っているっていう可能性はあると思うかい？
Do you think it's possible that they were joking? Yua's eyes had been dead serious. She didn't look like she was teasing me or anything. If nothing else, she certainly seemed to believe that what she was saying.
わかりません。
I don't know.
なるほど。
I see.
ちなみにその知り合いとはどういう関係だろう？恋人？
Can you tell me more about your relationship with this person? A girlfriend, perhaps?
は
Haha. What was this guy talking about? What did that have to do with anything?
あ、いや、言い方が悪かったかな。じゃあ言い直そう。
That's probably not the right way to phrase it. Let me try again.
その知り合いの人は
Did this person...
君が意識もないまま歩き回っているのを実際に目撃したのかな？
Did this person actually... Did this person actually see you up and walking while you weren't awake? Oh, was that what he meant? I shook my head.
じゃあ証拠はないわけ。
Then there's no evidence of it. I shook my head again.
そいつ探偵気取りっていろいろ証拠を突きつけてきて
She thinks she's some kind of detective. She showed me all kinds of evidence.
そういうことか。
I see.
ちなみにこれまでにも無遊病の兆候はあったかい？
And has there been any evidence of history or history of sleepwalking in your past?
いえ
No.
朝目覚めたらいつものベッドじゃなくて違う場所で寝てたっていうことは過去に一度でもあった？
You've never woken up to find yourself not in your bed, anything like that?
いえ
No.
じゃあその知り合いに言われたのが初めてっていうことだね。
Then you didn't notice anything until she told you? I nodded weakly before forcing myself to speak.
僕寝てないんです
I wasn't sleeping.
もしかして怖いのかな？でもそんなに深刻になる必要はないよ。
Are you scared? You don't need to be so worried.
いやその
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't what I wanted to say. But I wasn't sure how to explain it, and I couldn't get my thoughts together in my head. I lost my chance to speak. He scribbled something in his chart before spinning around to turn away from me, and then leaned forward toward the back of the exam
和樹
room.
くん、ちょっと。
Hazuki, come here.
はい。
What? Okay, I got a achievement called Four Eyes Fans, and it states, make Hazuki wear glasses. When did I get... How did I get that achievement? What? Do you just get achievements for, like, meeting special characters or something? I don't know. Actually, I think I know why. I think I said yes to the glasses girl thing in the beginning, and that's why I got the achievement. Okay. Yes, sir. A young nurse came over. The doctor showed her my chart and said something softly to her, and then she quickly went back further into the room. What was that about? He turned to face me again. Then, in a gentle tone, he explained to me what sleepwalking was. When someone falls asleep, he said, they first enter their REM sleep, and then non-REM sleep. REM sleep was when the body was asleep, but the brain was close to fully awake. Non-REM sleep was a deeper sleep, when the brain was also rested.
無遊病は ノンレム睡眠の時に起きやすいって言われてる。
Sleepwalking is said to occur mostly during non-REM sleep.
脳が通常の活動をしていないから、普通の受け答えとかは成立しにくいけど、ちゃんと返事もするし、階段などを踏み外さずに上り下りすることだってできる。
The brain isn't as active as it normally is, so you can't really engage the person in conversation, but they're able to answer the questions and even walk up and down stairs without missing a step.
原因としては、精神的なストレスを抱えてる時になりやすいんだ。
It happens often during periods of extreme psychological stress.
子供に多い症状だけど、成人でもよくある症状なんだよ。これでわかっただろ？深刻になることはないって言った意味が。
Sleepwalking is most common in children but happens to adults as well. You understand now, right? It's not something you need to be so worried about. I see. But I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping, and yet I was still doing things I didn't remember. The whole time I'd been supposedly typing into that chat as Shogun in room 37, I thought I'd been playing ESO. Was that what you call sleepwalking? I wanted to ask, but the doctor just kept talking.
無遊病かどうかを調べる方法としてはいくつかある。一番手っ取り早いのは、ここのベッドで寝てもらうことだね。
There are several ways to test for sleepwalking. The fastest would be to have you fall asleep in this bed right here.
ただ、特定条件じゃないと発生しない場合もあるかもしれない。例えば、自分のベッドじゃないとダメとか。
But sometimes it only occurs under specific conditions, such as when you're sleeping in your own bed, for instance.
意識がない状態で出歩くにしても、目的もなくふらふらと歩き続けるのか。
Another question is whether when you're walking about while unconscious, you just walk around randomly.
それとも、何らかの脅迫観念があって、それに影響されて何らかの一連の目的を持って出歩いているのか。
Or if some kind of obsessive compulsiveness compels you to follow a certain series of
そ
actions.
れに、君の精神状態についても、特定の条件下じゃないとダメかもしれない。自宅のベッドの上ならリラックスできるけど、ここじゃリラックスのしようがないわけだ。
It's also possible that your mind needs to be in a certain mental state. For example, you could feel relaxed at home, but not here.
どうする？とりあえず寝ていってみるかい？
Well, want to try taking a nap here? It wouldn't hurt to try. I could make sure I wasn't sleepwalking, and then ask him the question I'd come to ask. The nurse, Hakazuki, led me to a bed in the back. It wasn't meant for sleeping, so it was hard and uncomfortable. Still, it was better than the sofa I was used to sleeping on.
3時間くらいしたら起こしに行きますから。
I'll be back to wake you up in 3 hours. The nurse was really cute. I lay on the bed, glancing at her while trying to make sure our eyes didn't meet. She had a somewhat young, helpless-looking face, and the air of someone whose life wasn't really working out the way they wanted it to. Still, she went about her work quickly and steadily. She felt like one of those girls from an old age game, one set in a hospital with lots of rape. Really, Takumi?
できるだけ目は離さないようにしていますので、安心して眠ってくださいね。
I'll make sure to keep an eye on you as best I can, so don't worry about a thing, just get some sleep. In other words, she'd be watching to make sure I didn't get up and start walking around.
それでは、ごゆっくり。
Good night. She smiled a little before closing the curtains and leaving. Surrounded by the white curtains, I let out a deep breath. I could hear lots of things, the voice of the doctor as he examined his patients, The other nurses walking around, even the door as it opened and closed. It was pretty hard to relax. Could I really sleep like this? Alright, well, I think I'm gonna save here. So yeah. Well, anyways, let's return to title. Yep. Alright. So yeah. Alright, basically, I think I'm done for today. So, it's been Dean the Autist. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.